Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. Why? That's our word for the day. Why? Why are we here? Why are you here? There's a reason. You found us for a reason. Maybe you were doing some searching. We just came up, whatever it might be. But why? We're going to look at your why of your life. Why you do what you do. What's your purpose in life? Everybody has a why. You need to identify that. And that will help you move your life forward. She's an amazing life coach and a motivational speaker. She's on a quest, a mission for us to realize many different things, including our why. One of those is what we call the pause, where you just take a moment, reflect, whatever it might be. Jessica Niss is back with us. How you doing today?
I'm good, Steve. How are you doing?
Really good. Really good. And this, what we're going to talk about today comes up a lot around me in terms of groups I'm with, people I talk with. They're trying to identify their purpose in life. And it's been said that we all have a purpose. We were given, the creator, the universe, whatever. We have talent.
Yes.
Is finding your purpose the same thing as figuring out your why?
Yes, they are in the same room. So if you look at our life as a big house, the why of things and our purpose are in the same living room, maybe not on the same couch all the time. Mm-hmm. But if we look at when we get up in the morning, you and I, we have our daily grind. We pretty much know we need to get into work, and we don't even think about the why when we wake up. We know the why of that. We've got bills to pay. We've got people that, count on us as far as team members at work. Not showing up does have consequence, not only to yourself, but people around you. And I believe that when we're moving forward in our day, and sometimes it can get kind of stagnant, right? You start losing that push, that fever, and you can really find yourself in a realm of, the word that comes to mind is despair, and you're just kind of going through the motions, and it can just seem really dogged some days. And those are the days, whether you're living your purpose at that moment, or if you're still trying to, walk that path to find it, those are the moments that you need to pause and remind yourself why. Now, this may not be where I'm going to be every single day of my life, because I am, on a path to finding what it is that I'm ultimately supposed to be doing. But on those dogged days where you're getting from, A to B, you need to remind yourself of the why, because we can find joy in anything, even when you're feeling dogged, if you start listing off your thankfulnesses.
Yes. I haven't written in my gratitude journal in almost a week.
Yeah, it's important. There's this part of your brain that when we start to worry, or we start to have these anxious feelings, it is the same part of the brain that is what we use to remember, pause, and reflect on our thankfulnesses. It cannot work at the same time. You can't be anxious and thankful at the same time. So if you start feeding your thankfulnesses, no matter what circumstance is going on, and anybody can find a thankfulness. I'm thankful I have shoes to wear.
There's so many, isn't it so true? It is. I'm thankful for this cup of coffee. It's my little treat in the morning. It's not about the caffeine. It's about just that warm feeling that, I'm going to start my day and I'm going to pause a little bit and have a sip. Yes. But I'm thankful I'm able to buy it. Yeah, it's $3.14.
Right.
The growers of the beans, the convenience store people, the packaging, all of that. I'm grateful because it's a couple little sunshine, a couple little happiness.
It's interesting when you were listing off, the growers, the packers, I started getting goosebumps. And when I get goosebumps, that means that we're really honing in to looking at things with eyes wide open, being able to see the things that, maybe we're taking for granted, and those beans that made that cup of coffee didn't just happen, And so being able to be thankful in a layered way of being able to see, actually, this is brought into my life because someone else found
Yeah.
their why that day. Why are they going to work?
I never realized that you can't have anxiety and practice true gratitude at the same time. And I'm looking and listening what you're saying here. And in the last week, it's been a little busy for me. Like these things and some of those, like, things pop up. It's like, really? Why did that happen? I got to take care of that. I got to do this. I got to do that. What's different is I have not practiced gratitude. I haven't written. And even last night, I came home later and I'm like, man, I'll do it before I go to bed. And I was like, nah, I'll do it in the morning when I wake up. And then I never got a chance to. But I'm seeing this in a whole different light. And part of that is, I almost get this picture, call it the rabbit hole, call it whatever you want. Like you drop into this rabbit hole and you're stuck down in this little spot. And now you're thinking like, I got this to deal with. I got that to deal with. And the walls are closing. And then when you practice gratitude, it's almost like you pop your head out and you look up and it's like, oh, the sun is shining. The grass is growing. It's a really nice place to be. This is all good. That's the vision I'm seeing based on what you just said. And I never realized that.
Absolutely. And, we can really start focusing on things that will create even more of a snowball of anxiety. When you think about an unexpected bill, okay, and you think about, okay, if I pay this bill, something else what's going to give, right? If you're not set up with a savings and I live in working class, working poor, rural. And when I say poor, I mean just the price of things, we're just not making enough to make ends meet in a way where we can still buy all the groceries that we would want. Okay, we get what we need, but and so you're looking at this, if you will, situation where this unexpected bill comes in, what's going to give? And if you sit there and you think about all the what nots, that can perpetuate even more anxiety. But if you think about, okay, I'm thankful that I can at least pay this bill, okay, and I have the means to make more money. Now I may need to, reach out to different people, friends, whatever it is, and let them know that, we can't do our Thursday night bowling night this month, or, at least in that moment, you're not allowing yourself to get, drugged down in the despair. That word comes again of what's happening right now. Because if you think about it, in most circumstances, and in 6 months, things will iron themselves out, depending on what that big bill was. And so worrying about it in that moment versus saying all the things that you're thankful for, your resources, the ability to work, it can really make or break your whole self, the
Your
way
spirit.
you think, the way your spirit gets broke. And so we really do need to practice of what matters. What is it that matters? This bill does matter. It does need to be paid, but I don't want my spirit to be broke over it. So I have the means, I have the intention to do what I need to do to pay it. And what is the impact? Am I going to let it so negatively impact me that it breaks my spirit? So we really do have a choice, and how we see what's right in front of us.
Are you a mind reader? Because that's why I didn't. Normally, I try to get to the gym. It's been a while. Today was going to be the day. I'm getting back into it, and other things. What was I doing this morning? I was on the phone dealing with insurance companies because I switched insurance and they hit my credit card. The previous company, it's May 1st, they hit my card. So now I'm paying for 2 insurances. So I'm dealing with that. And I know it's going to work itself out. But for that moment, again, I haven't practiced gratitude, probably would be different.
Yeah.
For that moment, and I don't get angry. It's just frustrating. Like, really? I got things to do, and I'm going to sit here on the phone.
One more thing to deal with.
One more thing to deal with. Do I really want to do that? But as I get older, I realize the things that my mother used to say are true. And you said one of them. it all works out. And that,
Yes.
if I could go back in time and all the times I worried about money, and we all do, I get you. It's like nothing's right. It did
Yes.
all work out. It all worked. And my mother used to say, it'll all work out. It'll be all right. I'm like,
Yes.
even with her not being here, I'm like, but it does. Somehow, I don't know how it does, but it does.
It does. When you put that situation on the top, and that's what you're focusing on, it does seem at the moment that you can't see around it. So the closer we are to something, it's harder to see around.
Yeah.
But when you back up and you practice that pause and you look at it, but the backing up is what you need to do. You need to reflect on what you've been through before. You've made it through every worst day of your life.
Right.
And you're standing right there knowing, okay, I know that the worrying doesn't, I just need to get to work, meaning I need to figure out how I'm going to make this okay. How am I going to make this into a yes or a no, depending on, what side you need to do. So, and one of the wonderful thing, and I've reminded my kids this too, we're not here alone, and we're not here alone for a reason. God designed us to have community. And when you lean on one another and love is shared, it's multiplied. Right? And pain shared is divided, which is a beautiful balance. Because if you share your pain, you share your hurdle, you share your burden with others, it's divided amongst all those that can help carry it for you, and it's not so heavy. So, and I'm not saying once you get that bill, call up all your friends and say, I need $5. That's not what I'm saying. But you can look around and say, you know what, they're going to understand if we can't do the supper dates like we normally do. Or, community is wonderful.
Do you feel that these things we are challenged by, and yes, there are many, life isn't easy. Yeah, let's put it out there. Can't ignore the elephants in the room, but
Right.
it's usually not as bad as you perceive it to be, or not as challenging. I don't want to be negative in terms of that phraseology, so not as challenging as you
Right.
think it is.
Right. So if you look at the situation, we do have a little bit of control of how much chaos it's going to create in our life. There's some things that are completely out of our control.
Sure.
Blow it right up.
Yes, but you have the choice of how you're going to deal with it.
Yes, yes. And there is those are the moments where you take what you've been through, you reflect back, and you're able to say, okay,
Yep.
I have what it takes to not make this more chaotic, or the feeling that everything's all for naught now. Everything's just, that give up attitude that, because it sends you into like a spiral. Because then everything seems bigger than what it needs to be. There are very big things. I'm not taking away from that. There's huge things that happen. But really, truly, if you stick to knowing who you are and who you have around you and holding those as your foundation. And for me, my faith is literally my solid foundation. And all those around me, are the people that I lean on. And so and looking to others and looking beyond yourself for help, it is a learned thing, because people don't want to appear weak or needy. They don't want to appear like they don't have all their stuff together, this persona of everything's great and grand. Well, everybody is walking along in this life just really trying to do their best, and on those days where you can't hold your hand way up high saying, I feel like I'm going to just give it 100%, you've got this person next to you raising your hand for you, reminding you of who you are and what you've been through and what you're worth.
Yeah.
And that is important. And on days perhaps where your hand is raised way up high and you're confident, that person next to you may need you to help them raise their hand up and remind them who they are, how valuable they are. It's a very symbiotic, relationship when you have community, good community.
How did you say that again? When you have challenges, they're divided when you share. And
Oh, yeah. So love, when you share love, it's multiplied. When you share pain, it's divided. So it's this healthy balance
mhm,
of, you're sharing love, and that love may look like taking a meal to a neighbor who just had surgery. You don't feel drained in those. I think you and I talked about it just recently about when you provide service for someone else, it actually fills you up. You don't feel
yeah,
depleted,
a hundred
right?
percent. Yeah.
Yes,
It's
it multiplies. It's
it's
just,
it's almost as if, I don't want to say it, but you're doing it for yourself. You're doing it for
yes,
others. Like pay it
yes,
forward.
absolutely.
I was in a convenience store buying this cup of coffee like
Yes,
2 weeks ago, and a woman walked up to me and she goes, "Well, you just getting a coffee?" I'm like, "Yeah." She goes, "I'm paying for that." And I'm going to be honest with you, they really look like she could pay for it. And she goes,
right,
I'm taking care of that for you." I said, "You don't have to do that." And
right.
she says, "No, I got you. I'm taking care of it." I'm like, and I looked her in the eye. I practiced the pause, the
Yes,
Selah,
yep,
and I looked at her and I paused for a second and I said, "I promise you, I will pay this back.
yep,
I will pay this back." And I
yep.
did. And I did it twice
Oh, I love
in
it.
her
Yeah,
memory, just thinking of her. I'm online at Starbucks. Yeah, I'm going to pay
yep,
for them back there, whatever it might
yes,
be.
yep.
I, I want to bring up something that you've mentioned a few times, but really put the microscope on it, taking inventory of our
Yeah.
lives, where we've been. Because a lot of times when you fall into that rabbit hole of, oh my
Mhm.
gosh, what's going on here?
Yeah,
And like you said, you can only see this around you. You don't
yeah,
see all of this beauty
right.
and opportunity, whatever it may be. You forget where you came from sometimes and what you went through. And I had that epiphany this morning. I'm on the phone with the insurance company, like, "Oh, thousands of dollars, come on." And then I
Yeah.
think back, it was in late January. I was told that I have stage 3 skin cancer,
Oh,
and it was a mistake.
oh, w- pray. Okay. Well, good news for that.
And I look back at that, and I still had, some surgery
Yeah.
and such, but
Emotions. And yeah, I mean,
I
that is
forget
a
about that until I
yes.
until I'm intentionally thinking about it. And that's,
Yeah.
one example, but we all have them. If you look
Right.
back 6 months,
Hmm.
what you have to be grateful for,
Hmm.
even a year. And I think
Yeah.
the inventory, I think we forget about that. We just take a
Yeah.
look at the last week or two. Oh, look at this week. It wasn't that great. All right, maybe it wasn't. I get it. I'm totally right there
Yeah.
with you. But if you go
Right.
back and take stock in, oh, we had that. I did that. I got past that. Whoa, look at that. You see it in a different way.
You do, because you've got these mountains and these valleys. And when you're standing here in the valley and you're looking up, can seem like a long way up. And that valley could look different there's so many different valleys for so many different people and situations. But looking up always seems, anytime that you have to put a little bit more effort into something, whether it's emotionally, these valleys can seem so disparaging, just like hopeless. But the hope is, when you look up, you will notice that there are people that literally are down in that valley with you, not because they have to be, but because they want to be, because they're going to be the ones, the hands that are lifting you up, letting you know that they're right there until you get to that mountaintop. And then there's people at the top of that mountaintop that are looking down, smiling with these encouraging words, saying, "This is where I am. I remember being down there,
Mm,
but here, come on up." Come on up, you can do it. And if we do that in our own lives, what you and I were talking about, reflecting on what we've already gone through, but also being a testimony without even saying any words sometimes for someone else, to give them that hope, not because they actually genuinely feel it, but they say, "Hey, if they got through it, I can get through it." And that is important. That testimony that you can give just in your daily walk of, interaction with other people. We never know the impact that our interaction is going to have. It could be with a complete stranger for 2 seconds on the street.
yeah.
You don't know what that smile did for someone, or that short hello, or just recognizing and acknowledging that they're alive. So there is so much symbiotic back and forth benefit, this, and both parties benefit. It's not a lag on one person. I mean, we can talk about toxic relationships another time, but I mean, for the most part, when you're in this ebb and flow of sharing love and sharing pain, and that doesn't mean imposing pain on someone. That means sharing what you're going through, because other people want to know that they're real and you're real, meaning when you just put on this persona that you're untouchable, and that you're just putting on a mask outside, and behind closed doors you're freaking out. That's
It's a
not
lonely place to be.
it is lonely, and you're not serving yourself. You
No.
really aren't. And it's lonely, and it's draining, and it can seem pretty chaotic. So sharing the life's tribulations, and going through them so that other people can witness them, gives them hope in those situations of, I remember 6 years ago so and so went through this, and I'm going to give them a call. I'm going to see how it is they got from here to there. So yeah, it's important to share.
You reminded me, somebody told me many years ago where I made some life changes, and I left a job after a long time, and it was a mutual departure, but I found myself like, now what? What am I going to do? I got a kid on the way. I got to support, oh my gosh. And I had some severance, but it was still like a freak moment.
Yeah.
And somebody told me that when you're at your lowest point, that's where you're most humble. And that's where you really see it and feel it. And I'm not suggesting, hey, that's a great place to be.
No.
But it's where you're open. You have a different perception of things. You do. You look at it differently.
You do. So oftentimes raising the kids, I have this want list and need list. Okay, grocery list. And we can do that with everything. What is our wants and what is our needs? And when you get down to it, we have what we need for the most part.
Yeah.
And those wanting things, the things that we want in the transition, like you were saying, when you're, leaping that hurdle of a job transition where, things are comfy before, but there's a reason why you move away from something and onto something else. There was some reason, whether it was your own choice or not.
You know what? Can I just jump in? We're just about out of time, but you're just like, you're a memory jogger. Like, you just, so yes, look at the gratitude. Here's the deal. I left that job after I was a kid when I started there, and I stayed for decades, right? It was time to go, but I left that job, and a month later, my son was diagnosed with something that required immediate attention, where they're going to cut his skull open. And I needed to pick the doctor, cosmetic surgeon. Who do you pick? Like, going on appointments after appointments. I really feel that that job left because I needed to focus on him, and I had limited time. And I don't know if I could have done both. I would have to take maybe a leave of absence. I mean, this is a major thing, and the clock was ticking, and made the choice eventually. And it all worked out beautifully. He's, first year of college. He's super amazingly bright kid. Everything is fantastic. But that was the reason. I feel it was time to go, but there was another reason. But absolutely, I didn't think of that. I didn't remind myself until we're talking today. So I think we need to look at the big picture. We're out of time. I just keep going with you.
Yeah.
Like,
I know we could do this again and again and again.
Yeah.
So next week, you and I, we're gonna do this thing again, and talk about a couple of other things. I could talk to you all day long, Steve.
Same. And it's not about me. I just share some of these things that come up as you speak, because I think that we learn from other stories. I've learned from your story. We all have a story, and they're beautiful. I could listen to everybody's story every day, how you got here, what's going on. You have created an organization, Life Coaching and More, and it truly is about taking a moment to pause, which we've talked about before. and I'm glad we took this moment here today to pause and talk about this. Selah is the name of your organization and the website. Can you share it with everybody?
Yeah. My website is selahllc.net, and you will find my webpage. It's just very organic. It's showing you what brought me to this moment. And if you want to contact me, there is a contact button on that webpage. But also my email is Jessica Niss, JESSICANISS at selahllc.net. That's SELAHLLC.net. So I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to talk to you and explore ways that we can, just commune and be together. So yeah.
And share stories at the very least.
And share stories.
Yeah. Selah, by the way, just as a reminder again, SELAHLLC.net. And
correct.
Selah means pause.
Pause.
Take a pause today, people. Your daily life. Take a moment. Hey, you deserve a moment. We all do.
I know. All right.
All right. Wonderful talking with you, Jessica. We'll talk soon, okay?
Okay. Thanks. All right. Talk soon.
We'll be right back. Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes two. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.